Anyways, yo, what's good everybody? Welcome back to another video. I'm not gonna lie guys, I'm super tired. I only slept like a few hours, maybe like 2 or 3 hours. Then I woke up and I had to trade the New York session because I had to manage a position that I was in that I had entered a little bit earlier in the New York session. So anyways guys, today's gonna be a great video. You guys are gonna be able to get inspired and motivated. So pretty much for this week of January, I had my first 6-figure week for 2022, which we'll get right into that later on. So I'm pretty much going to be breaking down or highlighting some of the trades that actually got me to that point of making 6 figures in a week in 2022. Anyways guys, I was going over the comments one of the last videos and I saw a few comments where people were like, oh, I got blue balls, you didn't show me enough of the STO. Hopefully you guys do actually enjoy the new style of vlog that I'm doing, where pretty much I'm trying to be as unfiltered as possible. I want you guys to be able to actually get to know me as a person, and you know, I'm not gonna hide who I am and like not curse and shit in my vlogs, trying to do some fake shit. I'm 100% gonna keep it real in the vlogs. So anyways guys, you guys should take a better look at the STO here. So the reason I chose the STO was simply because it's a special edition Lamborghini Huracan, right? They're limited to only one factory that's able to actually manufacture them. And along with this very specific spec, I have the blue matching the white. It kind of gives me throwback vibes to my first Huracan, if you guys do remember that. And it also matches the SVJ very, very, very nicely. The SVJ is black and blue, and then the Huracan STO is white with the blue accents. But anyways guys, we have the roof scoop, carbon fiber package, of course. And this is a quick look at the interior: carbon fiber doors, carbon fiber air vents, and we have a whole Alcantara interior there as well. I really like these floor mats as well. Well, they're not even mats, it's like part of the chassis. But the car drives amazing, sounds good, looks good. But anyways guys, look at the dopest part about this car. So you have this little key, right? And you gotta come and unlock this portion down here, and then you gotta push it in, and this is how you get to the front trunk. You gotta push this piece in here too, and we just kind of lift it up. And this is the front trunk of the car. Put that down carefully, right? So this is literally my entire trunk space. It's crazy, it's absolutely nothing. Then we have the full carbon fiber hood there as well, which is super dope. The whole car is pretty much carbon fiber, but take a look at how crazy this is, everybody. It's literally insane. Like, what the fuck, right? I've never seen a car do this before. This is literally a race car on the street. But anyways, to close it, we kind of just gotta close it here. Anyways everybody, so I've got super exciting news for those of you guys that have been following me for quite some time. You guys know obviously that I've had a 720S that I actually blew the motor, and the motor blew because the oil pump stopped feeding oil to the motor. And I shipped the car out to a performance shop called Straight Jacket Performance out in Connecticut, I believe, and the car is finally done. They're tuning it today, and then they're gonna ship it back out to me. It's done, it's lowered. Here's a video of the car starting. I can't wait to get it back. So for those of you guys who are wondering what the maintenance looks like and what the repair bill looked like, so pretty much the whole repair, the way it worked was the way the whole bill came out to be, and the way we had done things was, if I would have bought a brand new motor from McLaren, they were charging me $108,000 just for the motor without turbos, which is crazy. So what we did was we went online and we looked for a front end collision 720S. We found one and we bought the motor alone without the chassis, of course, which cost me about $55,000, and that did come with the turbos. And again, we needed to find a McLaren that only had a crash in the front end, because we don't want to take extra risk by looking for a McLaren that was crashed in the rear, and there'll be more damage to the motor there. So we looked for a collision McLaren, or a McLaren 720S that actually crashed in the front end. Other than that, I pretty much gave them the motor and for them to put the whole motor in the car along with the tune and everything else for the new motor and installation and taking out the old motor ended up being roughly, let's call it $75,000, which I did save myself like 50 grand by not buying a new motor. But anyways guys, let's go up to the computer and let's get to the MetaTrader 4 so I could show you guys the P&L for the week. I also did a 50K withdrawal, obviously, to help me pay for the expense of the 720. And that's the thing about owning supercars, guys. At the end of the day, like on the SVJ, yes, so far I've made money. If I sell it right now, I can make maybe $250,000 on it because I bought this car. So it's an SVJ Roadster. It's a 2020 SVJ Roadster. I bought the car with roughly, I want to say 1,500 miles for $680,000, and right now I could sell it for anywhere between $850,000 to about $950,000. So yes, I made money on this car. Yes, I have equity on this car as well, and I also have equity on this car, and then obviously have equity on this car, especially if I keep the miles down. At the end of the day, like, depending on what types of cars you get, cars are liabilities, and this is just the expense of owning supercars. You're gonna have fuck ups like this, and it's not about actually being able to afford the monthly payments on the car, right? It's about being able to maintain it. If a motor blows, what are you gonna do, right? Because you would have been so screwed in my situation if you're driving a 720 around and you weren't able to actually pay for the damages and pay for exactly what happened, being the motor blowing. Anyways guys, so let's get right into the rest of this. All right, everybody, so we're back in the office. Let's go over this P&L. Alright guys, so as you guys can see as of right now, so this is the deposit I made on the account, roughly $410,000. Have a 70K withdrawal overall on the account and a profit of 200K, but this is since the account started. So we're up just about 50% in the last 3 months, but I started this account in November, so I didn't really trade too much since November till now. But this week, so let's go over custom period. What I'm gonna do is show you guys the history for the last week. As you guys can see, $110,000 profit and a $50,000 withdrawal. 50% in over the last 3 months, I wanna say, not even, because I made the deposit like late November. I'm gonna switch brokerages. I don't really like this brokerage that I'm trading on right now, so I'm gonna switch brokerages and I'm gonna pull all that money out and deposit into new brokerage soon. I'm just kind of looking for the right brokerage that suits my needs. But as you guys can see, 110K profit for the week so far and a 50K withdrawal to pay for the 720 expense, obviously. Obviously guys, you're not gonna get rich by trading on small accounts. So something that I've always told you guys that you want to do and you want to actually focus on is use the leverage from these funded companies, right? Go get a 400K account, go get a 200K account, and use all the profits to fund your own account until you have a 6-figure account that you can trade with that's fully yours and that's on your own. Anyways guys, let's get right into the breakdown. All right everybody, so pretty much what I'm going to do is highlight the 2 trades that helped me actually make those $100,000 profit. And these are the 2 trades that really pushed me into that profit level, because these are the 2 trades that I made the most money on. Obviously I did take some losses, which are normal losses. I didn't take any bad losses. I think my biggest loss was on GJ for about $10,000. That was my biggest loss. But then I had these 2 huge trades which made me $60,000 alone on silver and then on GJ. So I made roughly like $30,000 profit within those 2 trades. Now, what we're going to be doing pretty much is breaking down silver and breaking down GJ and how you guys could potentially benefit from these breakdowns to catch your future moves. So let's actually break down the GJ trade first, because that happened today and it's still very fresh in my memory. So as you guys could see here, we pretty much caught the entire move for about a 1-to-8 risk to reward ratio, which was huge. So this is the signal room. So if you guys are interested in actually joining that, the link to the signal room will be in the description. If you are interested in joining, we do call signals London and New York session. Now, when it comes down to GJ, pretty much what I was looking at, again, it all starts off on a daily time frame, right? You can either start on the weekly as well. You always want to practice top-down analysis, but typically I don't really start on the weekly every single day, but I do take a quick glance at it. So starting off on the weekly time frame on GJ, what we could see here is if we zoom out, we are looking for our main structure points. and our main levels of supply and demand, because we trade only based off supply and demand, especially if you're in the day trading institution. One thing that I was talking about a few nights ago, and this is a recap of the trade, how it was going. So pretty much in one of our ongoing educational webinars, what we talk about, so pretty much I do 4 webinars a week on the day trading institution. So I do 2 breakdowns, I do 1 Q&A and 1 peer review session. So in the peer review session last night, what I was talking about basically was how GJ is at a weekly level of demand, meaning that there is selling pressure in this area. The first signs of selling pressure was here a few weeks ago, and then over here where price ended up actually closing under this level of resistance with a loss of momentum to the upside, right? So knowing that we're at weekly demand or weekly resistance, I jumped down to a daily time frame. And you have to remember, everything is going to be a zone. It's not going to be a specific price. So this is the entire zone for that level on the weekly time frame. It's going to be all of this here. So this is how I like to draw my zones, pretty much like this. This is going to be that entire zone. So as long as price is maintaining under that zone, we could look for potential sells, and we could look for that selling pressure. So within inside the weekly zone, which let me keep that marked off for you guys so you guys don't get lost or confused. Within inside of this weekly zone is where I'm looking to actually sell. Once price on the daily time frame rejected once, rejected twice, gave me that double top. And notice how on this day over here, right, with this candlestick, price actually failed to break above resistance and notice the selling pressure. Notice how during this trading session or during this trading day, price ended up trying to come all the way back up to the highs, breaking above these highs here, and buyers were met with selling pressure, and price came all the way back down, rejecting resistance essentially. At this point in time should have been the first signal for you to start looking to go short. Why? Because we're in a weekly level of demand, or we're in a weekly level of resistance, right? And on top of that, price has just rejected resistance here and given us a double top. So what I'm slowly starting to do is build a case for my side and build a hypothesis to look to go short. Now this day, as you guys could see, price came all the way up to resistance and rejected it and ended up closing bearish. Now, when it came to today's current trading day where I took the short, what I was looking at basically was price was trading down here. Now let's look at another thing. Right, notice how on the daily time frame, look at the wicks. You also have to pay attention to the wicks. So let's take a look at how this wick formed a low, this wick formed a high. This wick formed a higher low, this wick formed a higher high. So market is in theory bullish here. Now let's look at the transition. This wick formed a lower high and this wick formed a lower low. Why is this a lower low compared to a higher high? This is a lower low because price ended up, or this is a lower high because price ended up coming lower than the previous high, making it a lower high point. And then price made a lower low here. So typically when price is making lower lows and lower highs, I'm trying to break this down as simple as I possibly can. That's when we're going to see price actually go bearish. That's typically signs of bearish structure. And then price had broken under these lows here, which at that point in time, if you go to the 4-hour time frame, what you see is we have support and support here. Remember, this white line is resistance, right? So I waited for price to actually come back up to either this white line or pretty much this black line, which the white line is a weekly resistance and the black line is the daily level of support here. So this is now a zone where I've looked or I've marked off for an entry. This is where I determine this is where I want to get on the market to a short. Now, why short? Again, the concept is the same. The concept is the same. Only few similarities and differences, right? So I looked for that short because again, on the daily time frame, we're breaking under that neckline for the double top, which the neckline is this black line. Notice how price formed this low, then lower high, then lower low, so structure is bearish, and we also broke under both moving averages. And remember, this is my entry zone. I always want to get in on a pullback. I don't want to just sell at support randomly or sell right here. I'm marking off my areas where I want to get in at. Why did I want to get in at this level versus selling right here at this level? Simple, because this is resistance. This is where price found support on the daily time frame, right here and right here. All throughout this range, we have support. Now that support is broken, we're going to be looking for price to form that level of resistance. I jumped down to a 15-minute time frame, and the first sign of that was this big wick to the upside. This was the first sign of rejection, right? This was the first sign, hey, you want to start looking to take a sell position. Once price actually engulfed, that was my second sign to take a sell position, and then this is where I actually went short on this engulfing. Now, when it came down to my stop loss and take profit areas, I had a few. So let's look at the R multiple here. So I ended up going short here, and my stop loss was up here, and then price came all the way down to here on the first position. So when it came down to that, that's pretty much how I set myself up with this trade here. Then when it came down to my second position and why I ended up taking a second position sell was very simple. Just kind of a position here off this continuation level with about a 10 pip stop loss, and then price came all the way down to here at its lowest point. So 5 times my risk on that position there as well. Now why I took that trade here was simple, because we have structure throughout this area. Notice the break, notice the retest, notice the rejection, and then price continued to trade lower. This position over here was definitely a way riskier position than this position right here. So I did use a lower risk on this position, but I did go with a higher risk on this position. So that was why I ended up pretty much taking the trade there. I do see GJ continuing to go down to about 155, 130, which is the next level of support here on this 4-hour time frame, which is how I like to mark off my trades. Now coming for next week, what I want to see really is GJ pull back up into our previous level of support and then come right back into 155, 134. Now when it comes down to silver, the concept is pretty much relatively the same. What I saw with silver on this 4-hour time frame is, again, notice you always want to look left. Structure is always going to leave clues. We have resistance here. We have support here. Support, 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 support. Price formed resistance here. Notice these wicks here on this 4-hour time frame. So price formed support here. Let me just put the replay mode so you guys can see that better. Right, so price had ended up forming resistance throughout this range here. And what I told the day trading institution students is that if price rejects this area, we're going to go down to 22.300. If price breaks this area, then what I'll wait for is a break, a retest, and then look for price to come up to this other level of resistance, which is right here, which if you go to the daily time frame, that is a level of current support and resistance. And that's what I was looking for essentially. So what ended up happening is that price ended up, I ended up taking a loss on this sell, and price ended up coming up above resistance, right? And at that point in time, it's again, okay guys, let's wait for price to come back into previous resistance where we have previous market structure. Also, notice how structure is also forming higher highs and higher lows, right? So here we have our previous higher low, here we have our current higher high. We're going to wait for price to pull back into this area where we'll look for market structure to be rejected, where we'll look for that buying pressure and then look to take the buy, excuse me. So anyways, price pretty much consolidated for a little bit and price pulled back just a little bit, but there was no entry because again, I'm waiting for price to come into this area here because I know if price comes into my zone, I have a very high probability of winning this trade because price has a higher probability of traveling up from this area, right? Which essentially price rejected that 20 SMA and continued to go up. But then again, it's all about being patient, sitting on your hands, waiting for your setup. You want to identify what the market's doing, you want to plan out your trade, and then you want to execute on your plan. So now with this candlestick, right here on this 30-minute time frame, this first rejection was the first sign that, hey, there's buying pressure in this area. This is a rejection candlestick. When you see a big wick like this and a doji, this is a rejection candlestick. That was the first sign for me to start looking to take a buy. This was the second sign to start looking for me to take a buy. And at this point in time, I ended up taking that long position after this strong bullish closure. Stop loss under the wicks, and then take profit was way up here for about 4 times my risk. And this is where I had, I believe, like a $7,000-8,000 risk on this trade, and price pretty much just went straight into profit and blew past my target, coming all the way up to here, which I didn't hold all the way up to here. I ended up closing somewhere along this area here when price started to pull back, and I got out there for about 4 times my risk. But notice how I planned both of my trades. I waited for price to actually come back into my levels, and then I took the trade there. That's how you're gonna find the highest probability setups possible. Obviously, there's other things that come into confluence. I may be missing a little bit out here just because, you know, looking at the time frames, I don't want this video to be too long. Also, and looking at the span of times when these trades actually played out, you can also add other things into confirmation, like the break of the 50 SMA, making it a type A setup where basically we have 5 or more confirmations, and you go down to a lower time frame, you see the rejection here on the hour, you see the rejection on the 30-minute and the 5-minute double bottom that there is right here. It's just, again, putting multiple time frames together, making a hypothesis on overall market direction, and looking to execute on your hypothesis. You always want to follow an if and then thought process when it comes down to trading, and these are the 2 trades that really helped me make about $110,000 profit. Anyways, everybody, I hope you guys did enjoy the breakdown. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to me at any point in time. Make sure you do go follow my Instagram with the link down in the description. I'll talk to everybody in the future videos. Peace out, everybody.